Joe Rady from Rady's Rides. I'm back here at Tampa Honda, and I have probably one of the biggest bargains when it comes to a sporty compact car to drive. This is a 2020 Honda Civic Sport, and I want to try to answer the question, if you're not going SI and you're definitely not going Type R, is this the best bang for your buck four-door compact car with a 6-speed manual transmission? But let's talk a little bit about the Honda Civic, that go-to for so many decades of people wanting great transportation that was reliable, had good, versatile, usable space, and got excellent MPGs. Fast forward to 2020, this Civic Sedan Sport definitely checks off all those boxes plus some. Now what's nice is that the Civic Sport Sedan actually started last year. 2019 was the first year of it. Sport traditionally was held for the hatchback, but Honda wanted to bring that tag over, and the great news is it's not just about emblem and some special trim. It's about you're getting a totally different engine, totally different suspension, and also great fun driving capabilities. So let's go ahead, dive into this 2020 Civic Sport Sedan, and like I said earlier, let's find out if this is really the compact car best value for your buck if you're not going to go full out SI or the Type R. Right off the bat, styling. There's actually some styling on the Sport Sedan and Coupe that's been brought over to the SI. You'll see that we have our blacked out headlight housing on the interior, your LED, very unique LED daytime running lamp, and then you're going to have that projector beam style headlight. We drop down, you do have functional fog lamps, which is great. Little tiny vent on the side, and then if you're wondering what's this open mail slot here, this is actually for the horn to actually be heard properly. That's something that the Department of Transportation measures the actual horn volume, and it needed that slot there. Now, as we come across the front grille, this is where you're gonna see that tie-in with the SI, all black, gloss black grille, your chrome Honda badge. I do like the way they have this nice horizontal slot here that's gonna channel air into the radiator, and also this nice flat black lip extension that comes out. Not only is this for looks, but also performance as well. Now, coming up onto the hood, real simple body lines. I like the way they have this nice rise, and then it kind of curves in a little bit towards the windshield, and of course you're gonna have the nice high peak on each end of the hood that goes into the A-pillar, gives you great visual reference point. Now, as we come around the bend, here are some big changes for the Sport. First of all, you get these 18-inch wheels, specific to the Sport. I love the gloss black. This machined aluminum, they kind of darkened it out, gives it a great overall look. Rotors, so rotors are actually increased in size, fully ventilated, which is wonderful. And then behind all this sheet metal, they actually reworked the suspension. You have different lower control arms than your standard Civic sedan. You're also gonna get different damping with your shock absorbers, and also thicker anti-roll bars. So this Sport is actually gonna increase that overall handling, and I think the best part is we got the one with a 6-speed manual. Now, as we go down the fender, you can see very strong line, nice belt line, color match on the mirror caps. On the roof, there is no sunroof on the Sport trim. And if you're wondering, well, Joe, where does this trim fall? This actually falls above the LX. You have the LX, and then Sport on the sedan is gonna be right above that. Now, one zonk that I do have on a Sport trim car, get rid of this brushed aluminum. Just have it be flat black. I think it would be a lot cleaner. I do like the nice lower sill area, the way it kind of extends down, and this body line on the lower door panel from the front to the back really gives it some nice definition. You have, of course, a good sized quarter window, the way they kind of flare out that fender with that belt line running nicely into the taillights. And then when we get to the back, what are you gonna get? You're gonna get a trunk-lid spoiler that is specific to the Sport. Of course, you're gonna have the Sport badge, and I'm okay with that, just to let people know which way you went with your Civic. You have that very unique design on the taillights. A Civic, you know, you could see from a million miles away at night. You know it's a Civic. Now, this one does have a nice styled rear diffuser and that HDMI plug that you have for an exhaust that has been sort of mimicked from the Honda Civic Si, but still clean. I think the addition of that trunklet spoiler just gives enough, but why don't we go ahead, let's pop the hood and see what's powering this Civic Sport. All right, guys, we got the hood pop. You do have a prop rod, but the good news is Honda puts it all the way over to the passenger side. underneath the hood on the Sport is going to be that naturally aspirated, yes, I said it correctly, naturally aspirated 2-liter inline-4, 158 horsepower, 138 pound-feet of torque. You could have a CVT, but like I said, good news, we have the 6-speed manual. 0 to 60 in about 7.8 seconds. The car only weighs 2,838 pounds. Here's the great news. 29 MPGs in the city, 38 on the highway, and like I said, you have those retuned shock absorbers, the control arms, a quicker steering ratio, beefier anti-roll bars both at the front and the back, and then of course some of that nice aesthetic styling. And we're not even done yet, because once we get to the interior, there's even more. But why don't we go ahead, I know the engine's small, I know it's naturally aspirated, but why don't we go ahead, fire this up and hear what it sounds like out of that HDMI exhaust. All right, guys, we're inside the 2020 Honda Civic Sport sedan with the 6-speed. I know you're at that point where you're like, Joe, you're talking about value. How much is this? Well, MSRP on this particular one with the 6-speed is right at $22,000. Let me put that in perspective for you. A Civic Si with obviously the only available transmission, a 6-speed, is around $26,000 MSRP. And then if you wanted to go all the way for the whole enchilada, then you would go Type R, which is a tick under $38,000 MSRP, all with 6-speed manual transmission. So you could see where this falls in the food chain. And you know what? I think if you compare this to the competitors like the Mazda 3 and the Toyota Corolla and the Hyundai Elantra, you're getting a lot more for the money, especially when we hit up those twisty bits and you can see how this car handles. But let's see what you're getting on the interior. Now, to the door panels, I like the cleanliness of the door panel. I like the simplicity. Soft touch material up top. You have this silver, which kind of brightens things up. Armrest is semi-soft. They actually did a little bit better job on the Sport with that leatherette material. You do have a small door pocket though for a bottle of Coca-Cola and a couple tacos from Taco Bell. When you go from the door panel to the dash, soft material. I love this black trim. It reminds me of a golf ball that's been painted black. I'm glad they didn't do faux carbon fiber or anything. And with the silver, it's very nice. Soft touch. You have a 7-inch infotainment system screen, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, real easy to get it set up. You do have a volume knob for everybody that likes to rock out to their tunes instead of having to do it with a sliding little thing on the screen or on the steering wheel. You have a knob. Start stop button, nice bright red when we're running here. You have your standard AC controls, temp setting, and then blower fan switch, and then you hit this, and this is where you could also access it as well. So if you want to touch a screen, you can. We keep working our way down. We have a little tiny cubby here. You could put a couple Snickers, maybe 4 Twinkies. And then if you notice, you have a plug here. Now, I'm gonna have Victor kind of drop down and show you that you have the bridge system on the center console. This is where all your connectivity takes place. So you have your USB and everything down here, plus another cubby for some more Twinkies. Maybe you want to hide one from somebody, you could put it down there, and then you just run the cord up. Now you do have a couple dummy buttons, which is to be expected. This isn't a top trim. Little bit of gloss black, and then look at this. 6-speed manual transmission. Pretty decent throws. I mean, they're not as short as a Type R, of course, but they're nice, good engagement into each gate, and I like the way it self-centers very easily. A little bit of gloss black. You have your economy button here, not for economics from high school, but this is to help get better fuel economy. Electric e-brake. Here's our key fob. Standard, tasteful. This does have keyless entry. Buttons on the back, very nicely done. 2 cup holders in here, and then you have this nice, softer leatherette material. You could actually slide this forward and backwards, and then what's really great is you take the cup holders and then you could drop a Big Gulp in there. And there's another USB. So Big Gulp would drop in there, maybe a Super Slurpee. I do like the stitch work, and then guess what? These seats are unique to the Sport. You have the leatherette material, the cloth. I like this checkered flag pattern. Obviously, they're manual controls for both the passenger and the driver, but they're easy to work controls. None of those stupid knobs. Plenty of headroom. That's the thing that blows my mind. This Civic has so much room in it, it's almost like a midsize, but in a smaller package. But why don't you come over to the business end? I'll show you some more of the goodies that you get with the Sport that you don't get on the LX. All right, guys, business time. One thing you get on the business end is you're getting those 3 pedals, and the wonderful news is same pedals out of an SI, out of a Type R. I do like the layout of it, and it's pretty decent. The brake pedal's a little high to really properly heel-toe downshift, but it's pretty close. It's a lot better than on a Focus ST or even a Focus RS. Now, seating position, like I was telling you, I'm 6 feet tall, plenty of headroom in here. It's easy to work these manual controls. You get the same leather wrap shift knob and same steering wheel out of the SI. I like the contrast stitch work here, that crisscross pattern, nice thickness. You got your button controls. I wish they would do a little bit of a different material, because they kind of feel like old Game Boy buttons on a Game Boy I used to have back in 1988. That's my only zonk on that. But the dash, real simple to read, easy to understand. What's great is you have that information display in the center, which you could toggle through a bunch of different information. So simple. And then you have just LED bar lights and fuel for coolant and your fuel reading. That's easy to understand. So if you don't like a very busy dash, this one is very well done with the tachometer and your digital speedometer. Why don't we go ahead, let's check out the back seat and see how your passengers are going to enjoy this Civic Sport sedan. All right, guys, back seat time. And like I was telling you, so much room. The doors open nicely. It is a sea dark material in here, but what's nice is that they notch out the back of the seats to give you a little bit more leg room. The only problem is no pockets. So if you have that mirror that you need to stare at yourself while you're being driven around, you're gonna have to hold on to it or put it in between your legs. Hopefully you're not a guy, because that could hurt in an accident, having a mirror removed from your crotch. Other bad news, besides the mirror, if that wasn't a bunch of bad news, there's no USB back here, no 12 volt. I wasn't expecting AC vents, but it would be nice. You just cut that out, give me a USB, give me a 12 volt at least. That would be a wonderful thing. No armrest. So what's great is they take the leather material all the way up. Hopefully you have somebody who's either weaker than you or smaller and younger than you. You could use them as an armrest. That's my advice. But why don't we go ahead, let's pop the trunk and see how usable this sedan really is. All right, guys, time to see what kind of junk we can put in the trunk. You hit the button, pull it up. Look how wide that opening is. It's almost laughable how much room you have in a compact sedan. Don't need to go get an HRV. Get yourself one of these. A lot of fun, 6-speed transmission. And what I think is so smart, the way the engineers at Honda have these levers here, you just pull, and then what that's gonna do is it's gonna allow you to flip down the seat, which I'm gonna have Victor stay there. And as you can see, you just pull the lever and then you pull the seat down. And it's just so simple. So here I am, nice usable room, get the longer items in there, but let's get to the best part. It's not about the trunk, it's about that 6-speed manual transmission. If you're ready to row your boat, hop on mine and I'm gonna row it for you. All right, guys, we're in the 2020 Honda Civic Sport, the 4-door sedan. Right away, very, very comfortable in the car. The seats are really great. It's interesting because you sit low in the seat. It's almost funny how high the door panel comes up next to you, but still great visibility out front. Out back visibility is wonderful. The way that the mirrors are shaped gives you great view and footage down the side of your Civic. And I'm telling you, the 6-speed manual is a pleasure to row through. It's so easy. If you are new to driving manual transmissions, let's say you want to learn and you're like, hey, is this a good first car to learn? Yes. The clutch is so light. Even on the SI and the Type R, the clutch is light, but perfect on this because you don't have a ton of power, and the 6-speed shifts very, very nice and smoothly. Throws aren't the shortest, but that's not the point of this. What I do love, though, is the feedback that I'm getting from the wheel. And Honda, believe it or not, makes some of my favorite steering wheels when it comes to the actual thickness and the feedback that you get. It really shows how they pay attention to, it's not just about the NSX and the Type R having all that feedback. Also, in their other vehicles, they give a lot of driving feedback and a lot of driving engagement. Dash is super clear, simple to read. You don't feel cramped in this car, especially if you're in the back seat. And you know what? this leatherette armrest is not as bad as some of the other models. In the Type R or the SI, it's as hard as a rock. Here, not too shabby, but releasing that clutch, nice and light. It's got a good pickup point, which is great, and just allows you to take advantage of the whole driving situation. All right, guys, let's do a little on-throttle acceleration. So we're in first gear, on throttle, second gear, on the brakes, here we go. Wonderful. I don't know if you noticed, it's hard to tell on the GoPro, but when I was going through that left-hand bend, the back end came out just a little bit, helped me square off the corner. It's surprising how light this car is on its feet, and she just wants to dance. The twistier the road, the better. And the wonderful thing is you're not going to overwork those front tires with too much horsepower. Didn't have any front end push. Obviously from a dead stop, if you get on it, you're gonna get some torque steer because it is a front wheel drive car and it doesn't have the fancy suspension setup like in the Type R, but very, very impressed with the brakes, how the car transitions left to right, how it carries its weight from one side to the other, and the balance. And of course, with a naturally aspirated engine, the power delivery is super smooth. So that's another big plus. All right, guys, let's go through the twisty bits one more time. Drop it down to first gear. Slow roll, on throttle, here we go. Little chirp from the front end. Much fun to drive. I'm telling you, it's like we always want more power, more power. I want more power. I want 1,000 horsepower. Taking a low horsepower car and taking it through the twisty bits is so much fun. It just puts a smile on your face and just remembers, it just helps you remember what driving a manual transmission is all about. It's just that engagement, that fun factor. And the wonderful news is that with this car, you could really throw her around and she just keeps delivering. That's what I really enjoy about this. And I'm telling you, you're gonna feel the quicker rack on this car compared to your standard Civic, and definitely the brakes and everything else that you're feeling. So it's all the way around a big improvement over a Civic LX. But we're gonna get back to Tampa Honda. Hopefully this gave you a nice overall feel of the 2020 Civic Sport sedan. We're gonna get back to Tampa Honda, wrap this up, so I'll see you in a split second. All right, guys, been a wonderful day here at Tampa Honda. Definitely gotta thank Sam and the rest of the crew getting us this 2020 Rally Red, and that's Rally with an E, red Honda Civic Sport sedan. As you can see, Honda still knows that there's people out there that enjoy driving and the act of driving, and part of that act is to go through that 6-speed manual transmission. Wonderful experience, great price point. I really think that if this is something you're not really concerned about going high speed, you could have that great reliability, usability, flexibility of this Honda Civic Sport sedan. But if it's cars like these that you want to keep seeing on the channel, leave a comment in the comment section. If you're new and you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Rady's Rise family. If you want to help us keep making great content just for you on the channel, click the link in the description. Get yourself some Rady's Rise merch. Got to give it up to Victor working that camera. Wish him luck because he's going to be entering an autocross event in his 1997 BMW M3, and he's got some tough competition like a Civic Type R that's also in the same class. So wish him luck on that. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.